Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Course podcast with Curtis and Josh, we take a look at the band from El Segundo, California, known as The Ghost Inside. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
True dedication most just do not possess. When push comes to shove, can you rise above the rest? Waves of words, they fall short and crash at my feet. Such are the ways of the weak.
I'm not scared.
It's all that I know. Done nothing but travel without knowing where to go. I've been digging up bones, remnants of what made up me that I've never shown. This is my time to rise. Welcome back to the History of the Course podcasts, sponsored by the Church of Seven Track, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis. With me, as always, is my co-host, Josh. How's it going, Josh?
Fantastic.
What the heck was that?
A dramatic reveal.
Newly married, Josh. Congratulations.
Newly married Josh.
Yeah. How's that feel?
I'm a whole new man.
It's a whole new man. Yeah, how's it feel, man?
Good. It's been good.
You settled into it yet?
Yeah, I think so.
He's like, I mean, I already basically was, so.
Right.
Cool, man. Alrighty. Anything else going on?
Not a lot.
Your time has finally come to talk about this band that we're gonna talk about.
And,
You've been waiting
yeah.
about like 6 or 7 weeks.
Right, yeah. When I was prepared several weeks ago to talk about this band.
Yeah. And now your time has come, Josh. But
I'm
before we get
very
there, Josh.
familiar with their discography now.
Yeah, well, you should be. I would hope so. I mean, before, you were a pretty big fan of this band anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even before that, you should have already kind of been familiar. So, but before we do that, Josh, we had a brand new episode of the History of the Course After Hours podcast come out this past week, all about the band known as Under Oath. Here's a little preview for you right here, right now. Check it out.
You didn't need to correct yourself. This is my era. I love this era. But
Yeah.
as a whole, this whole era kicked off a whole pack of spin-off bands.
Oh,
Like I said, subgenre all in its own. It really kicked off because of this era. Sound of let's see here. Define the Great Line. I think that's really what sucked me in to begin with. Sound of Separation definitely has some seriously good ones. Too Bright to See, Too Loud to Hear.
oh, so good.
A few others, of course. You know that Good God, Can You Still Get It?
Yeah.
So that,
Oh, yeah.
oh man, I remember, windows open on my old truck, riding down the side of the road, absolutely screaming that because I was having me a good time.
No, seriously, I want to
And,
get home. Please help me.
Yeah, this old truck, it may not make it, but
it may not make it. Well, that was a terrific little preview there. If you want to
Insightful.
see insightful, interesting, lots of info there. If you want to check out the full episode, you know where to go. YouTube or your favorite podcast form, whatever. The place that you
Where they
intake
have
podcasts.
the podcast store.
Go down to your local podcast mart, check it out under Is Survived by Productions or History of the Course After Hours podcast. All right, Next item on the list, Josh, check that one off. Check.
Check.
Next item on the list. Every day, Josh. Every day. We get closer and closer
Mm, mm.
to season 2 of Throne of the Dragon podcast. Or, if you want to look at the other
Or
way, House of the
season
Dragon.
2 of House of the Dragon. Whatever.
Well, I mean, we're not really saying which one's more important, but I think you
They're-
know which one's more important.
They're going hand in hand.
Yes. Yeah.
One cannot
day at a
exist
time,
without the
man.
other.
Exactly. Yep. June 16th is rapidly approaching, Josh. I mean, we're
Yes,
almost
it
into May
is.
now.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped. You
I
pumped?
think we only have 2 episodes left, right? 2 chapters. Well,
Correct.
3 chapters, but we're doing it in 2 episodes.
What?
What?
Oh, say that again. We have 3 chapters, but we're doing it in 2 episodes.
Yes. Remember, we're going to be doing the last Jaehaerys
Is
chapter.
it the last 2? Okay,
Yeah,
and
then
then
we're
the
gonna be
last 2 chapters.
doing-
Okay.
Yeah, essentially the Great Council, and then the Dying of Dragons in the same episode.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
essentially season 1 of House of the Dragon.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Basically, just season 1. Okay. Cool. Yep. Be on the lookout for those 2 episodes over the next month or 2. And yeah. And then we're probably gonna do like kind of like what we say, like maybe kind of a prediction or like kind of like look back on season 1. And then maybe some different things that like we noticed like a second or third time going through season 1, and then kind of looking forward to season 2 before we actually do episode 1 of season 2. Whoa.
I am so
yeah.
ready.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm ready for it. So yeah, be on the lookout for those future episodes. All right, Josh. As always, what did you listen to this week?
Not a
Because
lot.
I got a little sneak peek there.
Yeah,
I was kind of
could
curious because
tell-
I didn't recognize either one of those.
Well, one of them is nothing.
Oh, it's just filler.
One of them is just a peaceful, tranquil background. Damn it!
It's a
There we go.
meditation. What happened?
All
Oh,
right.
man.
Yeah, the one behind me is nothing. The one behind me is stock.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then over here,
Why do you have that?
it was just a part of my slide when I started it. It was the other slide that was in there. One was ocean, one was trees. You've peeled the curtain back too far, my friend. So over here, I actually
What's that guy doing
didn't-
over there by the machine? What is he doing over there?
I
Don't worry
didn't,
about it.
I didn't listen to Shibupi this week. I wanted to, but I just like didn't really think about it until I was already on this.
I forgot about that.
And from what I listened to of that, I already know that I'm gonna like it.
Right.
So this one was more just like sparked my curiosity. I was going over to Coheed and was listening to Year of the Black Rainbow, which this time around I also found a lot more appreciation for,
Okay.
just like No World for Tomorrow. Which previously in my memory, those have been 2 albums that were kind of lacking a little bit. But the more I have listened to those 2, the more I've really gotten more into those that weren't some of my favorites before. But the Prize Fighter Inferno is a side project of Claudio Sanchez's. And he started it up during COVID when they weren't doing any touring or anything. His grandfather was dying, and his wife was also in really bad shape from having COVID, and he didn't know what was going to happen with her. So kind of turns to the music. This isn't associated with any of Coheed and Cambria's stuff. There's not some major story that's drawn out through all of this. It's literally just, I think kind of therapy for him at the time.
Is it just him or does his wife contribute too? Because it's on their Spotify page. It's him and her, like a picture of both of them.
Right. I haven't heard anything that she's on at least vocally yet.
Right.
I know I did see the two of them together, so I'm not really sure. All the stuff I was reading was just saying it just mentioned him.
Right.
So, but I don't know. Maybe after, she had recovered, maybe she started doing some stuff with him, but I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
their Wikipedia page has both of them, and it says, well, it says it's him and his wife.
Okay.
Let's see.
So it probably kind of started as just him while she was sick,
Right.
and then eventually developed into a duo kind of thing.
Must have. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Cool.
But it is very interesting. I don't think I'm just going to be listen to everything he's got for this, but I did listen to some of this EP here, and it's very strange. It's hard to describe. There's a lot of synth going on
Well, I was
that's
about to say
mixed
one
with
of the
acoustic
yeah, I was about to say
guitar.
one of the genres that they have them listed under here is folktronica. So basically like electronica and folk music together. It's kind of like, that sounds weird.
Folktronica.
Folktronica. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, listen to Ego here.
On that EP.
Do do do. Yeah. Listen to Simple Fix. Just when you get a chance, not necessarily right now, but yeah, just when you get a chance, check out that song. I feel like there's a couple little Coheedy Easter eggs in there. Or at least some little parallels.
Yeah, there's some interesting intro there.
Yeah, it's all very
It's
interesting.
yeah, it's kind of funny because like just kind of thumbing through the song now, it's like you've got the electronic like basically as your background with just kind of a little picking here and there, the guitar in the foreground.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
Go
interesting.
to a minute 8.
In that song.
Yep.
Okay. Oh boy. I was supposed to say I heard, yeah, I think there was a little bit later in the song I kind of heard some like higher pitch, but yeah,
La 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 la
it's
la
like what
la
the
la
and the
la
guy
la
in the
la
back
la
like
la la
bah,
la
bah,
la
bah,
la.
bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
Like what the
Yeah,
heck?
it's
Well,
interesting.
here's the weird part. Even just like looking at Spotify right now, like listening to this. I mean, I know it's just an EP, but strange that the first out of the 6 songs, the first song has almost 2 million plays, and it drastically drops to the next song being only 273,000. And every other song besides that first one stays at like about 200,000, except for Half Measures. It's almost 1 million plays, but
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
interesting.
this isn't necessarily something that a Coheed fan would be
Nah.
into.
Um,
And
man.
I don't really know how
Well,
I feel
even
about it.
like,
Like, I think it's interesting, but I couldn't see myself just throwing this on randomly.
yeah. Hmm. Well, interesting. Interesting. So you'd recommend which would you recommend starting with though, that EP? If I'm gonna listen to anything.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Was that the only one that you've listened to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were saying you've listened to more.
No, while I
Okay.
was flipping over to Black Rainbow or after Black
Gotcha.
Rainbow,
It
I was
did
just
flip
like
over that.
running down their page and I saw that that was the first fans also listened to. I was like, wait, what?
Gotcha.
And I'd heard of Prize Fighter Inferno, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
I didn't know. Oh God, I did not know. Okay, cool, man. Now explain to me again this. I don't understand because you're saying that was already on your slide. I don't understand what you're saying by that. And so it was just like some generic deal that was already on your slide when you opened up the project?
Yes,
That's weird. What were you using? Because I know
slides.
it's not PowerPoint. It's just called slides.
Yeah, slides. It's
And
for Windows. It's
okay,
like
but
PowerPoint.
that's what it does though. When you open up a new project, it already has like a template of just
Yeah,
like
I
random
have.
pictures.
So I have one. I have a couple different ones open, but the main one that I have opened up has all the different slides are set up different ways. So one of them has like 4 panels that are all like,
Right.
fixed a certain way. Another one has two. One of them is just one. One of them has weird grouping on them, so I have a bunch of them that I've set up just over time. And
Gotcha. Okay.
the ones I've never used before still have like the stock image that was like, this is what a 2 slide this size by this size
Right.
looks like. And you're like,
Okay.
there's trees, and on the other one we've got some waves.
Nice. See, PowerPoint's kind of I always do
Oh,
when I have like,
this is actually one of my favorite bands, dude.
oh my
These
God.
guys are great. They're called
Yellow
Stock.
card?
They're called Stock.
Uh, stock
Yeah, this is
image.
actually the new Yellow Card album.
It's the reimagining of Ocean Avenue
Okay.
album. Because isn't Ocean Avenue, it's like a beach photo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
This
when
is this
I
is actually their um climate awareness album.
oh boy.
Um
Oh boy.
yeah, instead of Ocean Avenue, it's the ocean runs over the avenue.
Nice. Yeah, when I have to do like three or more or two or more, I always put it into PowerPoint. You just like throw the pictures in there, and it's something called like PowerPoint Designer, and so it'll kind of do like what you're talking about. It'll have it in like different like designs like this, where oh, one picture's big and the other two are small, or
Mhm.
maybe it's all three just stacked next to each other. Maybe it's just kind of like cutting off. It's yeah. Anyway, so anyway, buddy, cool. These are mine. Enjoy, take them in. This one, Stick to Your Guns, True View. Probably my favorite Stick to the Guns. Stick to Your Guns. Stick to the Guns
Stick to
album.
the gun.
Stick to the Guns. Probably my favorite album by them. Now, I haven't listened to every single one of their albums yet, but um it's a good one. The reason though that I got turned on to that is because listening to specifically Get What You Give more, because I've already listened to it previously. A couple episodes ago, I think I had mentioned I was taking like a look ahead. But anyway, this time through, it was like I was listening to it, I was like, I almost kind of get some like stick to your guns vibes at times, you know? And they're both from South or from California. So I don't know maybe if that kind of contributes to it too or not. But anyway, yeah, True View, Stick to Your Guns. And then a couple of live
Wait,
albums here, Josh.
who was giving you stick to your guns vibes?
Ghost Inside.
Oh, Ghost
Specifically,
Inside.
yeah, sorry. Specifically when I was listening to Get What You Give.
Yeah, I mean
Give what you get what you give. Yeah.
they both have that California hardcore
Right.
sound.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those where it's like, now I gotta listen to Stick to Your Guns, man.
Yeah.
So but then I had a couple of live albums. Of course, Zayo, Live at the Church, came out a couple of weeks ago. Well, I guess no.
I still haven't listened to it in
Yeah,
its
a couple of weeks
entirety.
ago. You need to, dude.
I
Yeah, you need to. It
know.
was good. And you and I talked about it. It's like it was the set list, like I wasn't surprised, but I kind of was. Like I didn't expect them to do like a greatest hits.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of songs on there. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think they would put that on there, but and
But they
then
did.
but they did because there's Ayo. And then Manchester just came out with a live album this last week of I think they're doing an anniversary tour right now, or they just got done with it of their album Cope. So yeah, it's a full set of the album. It was pretty good.
Whose was
Are
that?
you Manchester
Mm,
Orchestra?
okay.
Do you are you much of a live album fan?
It's got to be good.
Okay, so what's one that like comes to your mind, or like when you think of a live album, what's one that like you're like, yes, I like this one. You know what I
Um,
mean?
Lamb of God.
Whoa, okay. Okay. Is
Yeah,
it
it
what's
sounds
the
exactly the same as the album.
maybe
Yeah,
that's why you like it so
it's like
much.
so good. Yeah.
What is it? What's it called?
Um, is it the autumn something?
'Cause I can look it up here real quick. Is I'm already on their page. Whoa. Do you know what year it came out?
Um, no. I know I
What the
used to have the CD.
music from the film As the Palaces Burn?
Nope.
Hmm, interesting. No,
Oh.
that was kind of interesting. Ghost walking, hit the
I think it was
wall.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Where's it at? I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It says live 2004. Okay. Makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool, man. Well, alrighty. Anything else, Josh, before we get on into the ghost inside?
I don't think so.
Let us open up this body, Josh, and take a look at the ghost inside. Oh,
Oh.
categorized, Josh, in the genre of metalcore and melodic hardcore. Their music has been described as not just melodic, Josh, but emotional. Ugh, hardcore as well. Personally, Josh, this vocal style is something I lean heavily towards. It's that raw, emotional, like it just said, and it feels organic to me. What I mean by that is like it doesn't feel like kind of like gimmicky or like copied. It feels real. It feels like a guy's really like letting it all out, especially coupled with his lyrics as well, you know?
Yeah.
But influenced by, quote, an older generation of bands such as Thrown Down, Bury Your Dead, Misery Signals, Killswitch Engage, Unearth, and Bleeding Through. What's up?
I was literally gonna say throwdown. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
he's got like a very like throwdown vocal style.
right. And then before we get into their history here, Josh, and the discography, can we give a little appreciation to their dedication to putting out albums basically every 2 years, like clockwork? That's how it's done, man.
Yep.
That's how it's done. Alrighty, formed in 2004 in El Segundo, California, under their original name, A Dying Dream, with the lineup of Jonathan Vigil on vocals, Aaron Brooks on guitar, Josh Navarro on guitar, Ryan Romero on guitar. Three guitarists? What? Oh. Tyler Watamanuk on bass and Anthony Rivera on drums. Now, the band would go on to release two EPs under their original name, the first being self released and the second being released through Frontline Records, eventually being re released by future label partner Media Scare Records. Now, just before the end of 2006, the band would lose guitarist Josh Navarro and Ryan Romero, along with drummer Anthony Rivera. Now, in their place, unfortunately, Josh, the band would opt to come back down to their traditional two guitar group. Or.
It's not for everybody or most people.
Come on, though, man. You tease me with that, though. I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, at least it's one of those things where it's like, well, if the third guy doesn't work out, then at least we're still good.
true, yeah. So yeah, they're gonna bring in Sawyer Cole on guitar and new drummer Casey Stockbridge. Along with these lineup changes and their eventual signing to Media Scare Records, the band would decide to change their name to, drumroll please, The Ghost Inside in 2007. With their new lineup set, the band would begin to prepare for their debut full-length album, releasing a year later in 2008, Fury and the Fallen Ones from Media Scare Records. Produced by Baron Bodnar, who has done work with Yellowcard as Blood Runs Black and among other bands. This is the only album for guitarist Sawyer Cole and last album for bassist Tyler Wadamanuk. Author Burn Your Face from SputnikMusic.com wrote a review on the debut album stating, quote, "The musicianship on the record is very good. Nothing on here is super technical in terms of odd time signatures, etc. But everything is diamonds packed into coal tight. And the riffs are well written and by no means simple. For the most part, nothing is overly predictable, with some parts and transitions taking you completely by surprise. Sawyer, Aaron, and Tyler have done a great job developing their own guitar bass sound with the riffs and tone on this album. They've managed to pull off melodic, driving, and heavy, which, in my experience, a lot of bands can do 2 out of those 3 things, but rarely all 3. The guitar players play a lot of melodic lines that work with the foundation riff to achieve a much more interesting sound, similar to what bands like Comeback Kid and With Honor utilize. Fury and the Fallen Ones also delivers the breakdowns that will tear the roof off any venue, and they also aren't afraid to toss in some tasty pinch harmonics. Casey's drumming complements and backs up the guitars and bass very well. He plays perfectly for the parts and is just flashy enough in the right spots to make him very fun to listen to, but not so flashy that the song loses its punishing stride. Did I mention rhythm section machine type? These drum parts have the hardcore tempos you'd expect, but are more custom tailored so that the drum hits hug the guitar riffs on all the parts and not just breakdowns. The vocalist Vigil has the ideal sound for a hardcore vocalist. He has the very mid-range, even-tone, intense Jamie Josta from Hatebreed or Scott Vogel of Terror style vocals. I found the lyrics to be very tough and real throughout, which makes him more credible than other bands that want to be so tough that their lyrics are just over the top or cheesy or downright BS. Vigil's themes lean more to the positive side, with songs about overcoming personal demons and self-improvement, which is a lot more palatable than the recycled "nobody is tougher than us" jargon that's cluttering a lot of hardcore CDs. The vocal sound could have been varied a little to help keep parts a little fresher and less monotone, but it is still effective nonetheless. Songs on this album include Provoke, Destined, Faith of Forgiveness, Disintegrator, The Brave, Siren Song, Shiner, Revolutionary, Bang the Drum, Inherit Youth, Smoke Signal, Fires, the instrumental track, The Lion War, and the finale, Blue and Gold. Josh, what do you think of their debut album, The Fury and the Fallen Ones?
Love it.
Love it. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, Ghost Inside just starts like so strong, even from that first album, and them, we talk about like finding their sound. It really just amounts to like it just gets tighter, as it goes on. It's already there in this first album, but they continue to grow. I would say his vocals like they're great here, but they reach this level in Get What You Give, and that's just like, I don't know, it's the epitome of that style of vocals, I think, that he finally kind of gets up to.
Right.
But
Because it's still pretty raw here.
yeah, but what can you say? You know, they this first album you could stack up against anything they do later on.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like the Ghost Inside. I did not, I know I heard a few tracks off of this album around that time, but I wouldn't say that I really got into them until maybe the next one, maybe even Get What You Give. So,
See, I had heard of Ghost Inside, but this is one of those bands that I just never touched until just recently. Get What You Give was the first one I ever heard. And then listening to this album for the first time through this past week, I mean, they just the way they come just like straight in on Provoke. It was like, oh, here we go, man. And then you go right into Destin. It's like, oh, okay, okay. And it just keeps going, keeps going. I was like, okay, like, because I always like to listen to, I don't know how you do it, but like when we do these episodes, I always listen to them in order, you know? Even, I can't hear you, you're on mute. Even like, even if it's a band that I've listened to forever, I know everything about it, blah, blah, blah. I still listen to them in order. And so it was like, they said that for me personally, it's like they set the bar high already, you know?
yeah.
And
I
and we are too, especially me. Is like I always lean towards more of the first couple albums for bands than later ones, obviously, but because I do like that rawness. And that's one of the big things. Again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, is his vocals is a big thing that really draws me in, of like the raw emotional, you know, style. But what were we gonna say? He's forgotten.
what?
Oh, I said, what were you gonna say?
Oh, yeah, I know that I listen to it the same way. I always go like in order because I feel like a large part of our discussions is usually how the band progresses. Do we have those, is an Every Time I Die situation where we're just trending, slowly upwards the whole time? Is it, um, you know, trying to think of somebody we talked about more
Is it
recently who
is it
had a
Alexis
lot of
on
like
fire when
dips.
you just kind of go up and then all of a sudden you just like
Well, I was trying to think of one that we have more that would be like one or two good and then kind
dips?
of a dip and then,
Oh,
but that's always a big part of our
it's a tough one.
discussions. So I want to listen to these in order, hear them year to year, what's changing between each album.
Right.
If we're
Yeah.
doing a hop around, it'd be a lot harder to talk about a lot of the things that we normally do.
Right. I love the how do I explain it? Because it's not really well, I mean, I guess it's the switch up in the middle of these songs, or it's almost kind of like you going into a breakdown too. Um now I had one off the top of my head, but I can't remember which song it is. But even like um well, I think the Brave does it kind of towards the
Yep.
middle. Oh my gosh, dude, that freaking line in the Brave, dude, at the middle there. I've heard the bravery is a ghost town that's nice to visit. Who wants to stick around and play the mayor with me? Just all the way through the end, dude. It's past the point of words. So grab your guns and follow me. Coupled with the guitar tones, dude, is like, it's like, oh, on,
they got your
man.
gang vocals in there that you love.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So grab your gun. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta love that, man. Love the and they do breakdowns good. I mean, even like in Destin, I know they say the line of well, a line was drawn and then my choice is made several times throughout the album, but or the song, but that ending part though where it's just like "Da-da-da-da-da-da-da," and then it just stops and it's just him. It's like, oh yeah, here we go, man. So good,
Yep.
man. So good. Some of my favorite ones though on this album is it's a good album front to back. I love it. Um, but Disintegrator, The Brave, Shiner, Destin, those are some of the ones that stick out the most to me. Is there
Okay.
any specific ones that stick out to you?
Those also, but then Faith and Forgiveness.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think Faith and Forgiveness is probably like my favorite one on the album.
Okay. Nice.
Um, yeah, Blue and Gold, Inherent Youth. But like you said, this is a front to back.
Yeah. Yeah, no question about it. Anything else, Josh, for their debut album?
I don't think so, but I am going to go ahead and right now just say that this is your entry point. Like
Oh,
this is
for
a
sure.
band that you need to just start at the beginning with. There's no, it's all, I don't want to discredit them by saying this, but it's all the same relatively. So you don't, there's not going to be an entry point for more of a, you know, metalcore fan than a hardcore fan or something. So
Yeah,
it is all California hardcore, and yeah, you need to just start on the
Cali
first album
Core.
here.
Yeah, Cali Core, brah.
Oh, Calicore.
Um, have you listened to so when they were under their original name, A Dying Dream, they had two EPs. One of them I couldn't find, but the second one is on YouTube. Have you listened to it before? I think it's
Yeah,
Now
I
or
think I
Never or
listened
something
to
like that.
that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I couldn't find the other one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Alrighty, Josh. Let's move on. Sawyer Cole would be replaced by Zach Johnson on guitar, while Tyler Wadamunuk would be replaced by Garrett Horror for touring purposes, later being replaced by Jim Riley full time on bass. The next 2 years, here we go, Josh, 2 years were spent touring in support of their debut full length album while also writing and recording their sophomore album, 2010's Returners from Media Scare Records. Produced once again by Baron Bodnar and Shane Frisbee. This is the first album for Zach Johnson on guitar and Jim Riley on bass, and is the last album for drummer Casey Stockbridge. Author Detriment from SputnikMusic.com wrote a review of the album stating, quote, Returners begins with an instrumental track to set the mood, and the light melody of the intro makes track number 2, Greater Distance, seem more abrasive. The song is decent enough, but the issue begins here. The song employs a generic forgettable breakdown near the third quarter of the song, and this trait is carried out into the next 3 songs. It's easy to differentiate between these tracks, but this problem causes the first 4 proper songs to become monotonous and makes Returners lose momentum. Although Unspoken is a well-written song with catchy vocal lines and gang shouts. What they should have done is put Chrono, the conflict or downbeat, near to the beginning, because this is where the album starts sounding great. And it would have also helped mix things up because the heavy songs and the melodic songs are generally clumped together. These 3 heartfelt anthemic songs are easily the highlights of Returners. Downbeat is a somewhat melancholy sounding song that actually ends up being uplifting rather than depressing, mostly due to the lyrics. This is something I've always appreciated from the Ghost Inside. When Vigil writes positive lyrics, they don't come out contrived or gimmicky, unlike many new hardcore bands, and some of their songs are truly uplifting. This is definitely a band you want to throw on if you're having an especially bad day. It then goes back to the pissed off sound they started out with on The Returner, a 1-minute track that comes in fast and heavy. The last 2 tracks are on the heavier side as well. The closer to the album, Truth and Temper takes a visit back to slight mediocrity for a moment, but ends up being a good track and a perfect closer. This song showcases how the band has a knack for whipping up simple yet beautiful riffs. The song fades out with airy synths weaving their way around the guitars. There's a little hidden piece at around 6 minutes that isn't really necessary, but in no way does it harm the quality of the album. So basically, what we have here is an album with issues, but once it picks up momentum, it doesn't stop. When it gets to that point, the weak beginning is easily forgivable, and you'll forget all about it by the time the record is over. Sure, this band doesn't cover any new ground, but they're dang good at what they do, and they've got heart. I still recommend their debut over this, but I no longer feel disappointed by the outcome of their sophomore effort, and I'll be a returner to this album again and again. Terrible pun intended. Songs on this album include the instrumental intro, Walk Away from the World, Greater Distance Between the Lines, Unspoken, Overlooked, Chrono, The Conflict, Downbeat, The Returner, Through the Cracks, and the finale, Truth and Temper, with a hidden track, FTLOS. I kind of agree with the reviewer on this one. I remember listening to it the first time, and it did take it a while until about the middle of the album when it started kind of kicking in for me. And I was a little worried. I was like, oh boy, is this gonna be a disappointer? You know, I was really kind of worried. But yeah, I did feel like it started picking up around Overlooked through Chrono into the end of the album. How did you feel about the Returners, or Returners? What is it? What's it called? Now I've got the song name. Returners. There you go. Had the song name mixed up. Yeah.
I still like it. The only thing that just kind of right off the bat, it is slightly more melodic than the album before.
Yeah, I would
So I
agree.
think that's why maybe it kind of has that feeling. But like you said, I mean, it does pick up as the album goes on. Like it gets more back to
Right.
a lot, a lot more how the first album was. But to me, this album is just like kind of an interlude between these two albums,
Right.
Like it's a
Yeah.
really great transition between the two.
So, okay, so we talk about, like you said before, just a little bit ago, the we're going here, we're dipping or whatever. Does this, because we both agree we're going up from the debut, right? I mean,
Mhm.
debut's taking us up. Does it dip here at all? Does it level out maybe? Or does it
I
still
wouldn't
continue to
say
rise?
I wouldn't say that it dips. Maybe it's just like on the same level.
Just kind of level out and then go back up for next
Yeah.
one? Okay. I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree. A couple of ones that really stood out to me on this one. I only had two that I've saved. Oh no, excuse me, three. Was Overlooked, The Conflict, and Through the Cracks. But yeah, again, this one just kind of dipped a little bit for me. I mean, I don't even want to say dip because I'm with you. I think it's more of just kind of a leveled out feel, especially when you know what's coming next with Get What You Give. So,
Right.
anything else, Josh, for their sophomore album?
I don't think so. I was looking to see if I saved anything off of this one. I don't think I did, but not necessarily because I didn't think it deserved it or whatever.
Right, yeah. Sometimes it
But
just doesn't, because there's times when like I'm listening to an album, I'm thinking like I'll save something, right? But then there's times where I'm just kind of like, nothing's just like nothing's forcing me to hit the two buttons on my iPhone, to like
right.
save it or whatever, or to jot down the name or the timing of, a part of the song or whatever. But yeah. Are you listening
There's
to a song right there?
Well, it made me think. So in the conflict,
Yeah.
I saved it because I thought there was some guest vocals in there.
Mhm.
And then there is another track on this album that I believe has guest vocals too. Did you know who either of those were?
I don't. Not on this album. I didn't see any actual
I don't see any credits for
names.
it,
Correct.
but
No, I don't. See if we can try to find something here. But you hear something though, right?
yeah, on the Conflict, and then I can't remember the other one.
Well, let's see.
The other one was much more noticeable. Like the other one was like, okay, yeah, I can't place this guy's vocals, but I know he's from another band.
Right.
This one, it
Um,
could have been like maybe one of the guitarists backing him up or something.
right.
But it is like a full line, which is like kind of weird for those like backup situations. Like it feels like a guest spot.
Right. Well, huh.
Maybe not, but I don't know. You could check it out if you want. It's at like 130, like 130, 135.
Okay, here you go. Tommy Green of Sleeping Giant on the Conflict.
There we go.
Let's see if I can find. You don't remember what song though, right?
I don't. I know it's after that, so it's got to be Downbeat, Returner,
Downbeat,
Through the
maybe.
Cracks, or Truth and Temper.
Oh, not down. Let's see. Well, I want to say not. Returner. Through the cracks. Well, I don't see an actual credit like the Conflict had. Um. Oh, let's see. See if I can look up through this way real quick. Okay. Peers on, peers on. Okay, looks like we have several different. What the heck? What is this? I don't know what that is. What's this? Okay. Looks like okay, you got like I said, the guy off of Sleeping Giant. Um Looks like a guy from Bury Your Dead, the vocalist Matt Brusso is on featured on Chrono. And then let's see. A guy named Brendan Foley who is in the band Portrayal is on Between the Lines. And that's all that I see. Oh, let's see. Hold on. Yeah, no, that's all that I see. So,
Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling there were a couple features on there, but I hate when they don't credit it because then you got to be like, is there somebody there? I'm
it's
not
like,
sure.
yeah, you start gaslighting yourself. Like, there's somebody there. No, there's not. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, here we go. Continuing on. After touring in support of their sophomore album, drummer Casey Stockbridge and the band would mutually part ways, leading to the addition of Andrew Takazik on drums. He is the former drummer and songwriter for the band For the Fallen Dreams. With their time with Media Scare Records ending, the band would draw the attention of one Epitaph Records, who would sign the band soon after in 2012. The breaks kept on coming for the band, Josh, as they would headline the 2012 Alternative Press Tour alongside Miss May I. So we're the wheels are in motion, Josh. The wheels are in motion. You know, we're
Yep.
building towards something here, right?
Tragedy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that too. But before that, well, before that, we're building to, now you got your first really big label contract. You're getting on some bigger tours, so on and so forth. And now, Josh, now we get to spend the next 2 years on tour, and then preparing and recording our third full-length album, the one that was up behind you, but apparently you were enjoying that sunset too much for you. So that's right. I'm talking
I
about.
I like never look at my own viewers, so I like never notice
No, you're
until
good.
way
No,
into
you're
the
good. I
episode.
just like I almost like I noticed at the beginning of the episode, but I was like, now I'm gonna see how long it lasts. And then I
What was
thought,
this one? Red
this
Right
is
Hand?
perfect. Oh,
Where
what in the
he,
world? How long have you had that one? I don't even remember
forever.
you using that before.
I may not have ever
That was
used it.
interesting. Yeah, talking about the one right behind Josh, the old Mountain Peak, 2012's Get What You Give from Epitaph Records, produced by a Day to Remember vocalist, Jeremy McKinnon, who has also done.
Boo.
Whoa, okay.
Douche.
Beef.
Boo.
What? You got some beef?
No, I just like when I watch interviews with them, I'm always like, God, these guys are douchebags. Like
Yeah, they
I
always kind of had that like vibe and persona, right?
yes,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like the music somewhat, but
Right. I mean, I like some of the older albums. I don't like any
yeah.
of their newer stuff. And yeah,
I feel
just
like that's
a
one of
lot of
those
those
bands that just kind of
interviews
like
are,
got stale though.
yeah. And a lot of
You
those
know,
interviews are just really off-putting. So,
I'm gonna have to look some up then.
yeah.
He has actually done work on his own band, A Day to Remember. He's also done work with Wage War and Neck Deep. This is the first album for Andrew Tukasik on drums. This album, Josh, would be dedicated to Ryan Vigil, the late brother of vocalist Jonathan Vigil. Pour one out. The album peaked at number 8 on the US Top Hard Rock Albums chart, number 19 on the US Independent Albums chart, number 26 on the UK Rock and Metal Albums chart, and number 88 on the Billboard 200. Fun fact for you, Josh. This album checked in at number 3 on Australian hardcore radio station Short, Fast, Louds Best Album of 2012 listener poll, just behind Australian artist Parkway Drive's Atlas album and the Amity Afflictions Chasing Ghosts. Controversial album artwork. Yeah. Author The Goose Tavern from SputnikMusic.com wrote a review of the album stating, quote, frustrated, a word that will come to the minds of many whenever it comes to another hardcore / metalcore band that is on the rise. Eyes roll, palms hit faces. But the ghosts inside are no rookies, Josh. They're no rookies. Having been around now for a couple of years and 2 albums, we've all got a glimpse of what makes the ghosts inside who they are. Their third album would be the one that tells me and the rest of the world out there in music land what they brought to the table this time around. What they brought was a big heaping pile of in-your-face hardcore. Consistent. Another word that hardly ever gets tossed around when it comes to this genre. But alas, Ghost keeps proving themselves time and again. One major factor when it comes to this type of music is very prominent. The sound of the screamer's voice is one of the strongest indicators of how the music will sound. And if you like a guy who screams and sounds like he has balls behind his voice, this band is for you. 2 very solid records were put out before this, Fury and Returners, but there is a certain evolution about this record that keeps the Ghost Inside up there on my list of bands who are doing things right. Opening the album the way they did was a telltale sign that I was in for a treat. Being a guitar player myself, I commend these guys for using the tone that they did for the record and doing it well. Backing the mids off considerably to make the record sound deeper and much heavier paid off for them in the end. I found that the guitar tones and Jonathan's voice worked in perfect harmony. The album never has any point on it where it slows down. It truly is a runaway freight train, and when it hits hard. Every riff, every drum fill, every bass drop hits with an intensity that has no breaks. With that being said, this has been a forte of the band's style, forte of the band's style for all their albums. This earning them the word consistent in every sense of it. I find that many bands nowadays, realizing the oversaturation of their genre, are trying new things. For example, choir, orchestra, etc. One thing that has been tried by many bands in the past was to incorporate clean vocals, when in the past they never were any. Many, if not close to all of them, failed miserably until The Ghost Inside came along with this record. Engine 45 being the optimal example of this fact, a truly unique song for a band that hasn't touched that sort of territory. Just goes to show that musicianship of the band when they can pull off something so well that hasn't been done on their previous work. I feel like an elder compared to a lot of the younger kids I see at the shows. I've been around this genre for a while, and it's a refreshing note to start off the summer to know it too, knowing that bands, although very few of them, are keeping things new and fresh. The Ghosts Inside are the textbook example of what bands should be looking up to and who they should respect. Put some respect on that name. Songs on this
Throw some
album
respect on it.
include, that's what I'm talking about, man. Songs on this album include the intro track, This Is What I Know About Sacrifice, Outlive, Engine 45, Slipping Away.
45.
Yeah, here we go. Slipping Away, The Great Unknown, Dark Horse, featuring Jeremy McKinnon of A Day to Remember. How convenient that he was in the studio the same day they were recording that.
How convenient.
How convenient. White Light, 33, Face Value, featuring Andrew Neufeld of Comeback Kid, Deceiver, and the finale, Test the Limits. I just thought of this question. Is it almost like if you get a guy to be your producer, like Jeremy McKinnon, who already has his own band, are you almost like obligated to like allow him to be guest vocals on one song?
Dude, I would almost not want to, because I'd be like, dude, you've already got your hands on this. Like,
right. Hey, I just had a great idea.
and
I should
just
be featured in one of your songs.
yeah, my image of him is that he, like they didn't ask him to be on it, that he was like, hey,
He's like,
I can put some vocals down on there for you if you want.
this song's missing something.
Yeah,
What is
I'm
it?
sure they have a relationship with him.
For sure. I'm just saying, like, it's
otherwise,
funny,
he probably wouldn't have been recording their album.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure, man. Okay, so I mentioned it during our what did you listen to this week? This album, listening it again, this time through, 2 or 3 times this week, started giving me that some stick to your guns vibes. Of course, we talked about it. They're both California hardcore, Calicore, yeah, la 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 la. What kind of, do you know off the top of your head, like what tuning they're in?
No, if I had to guess, probably just D.
Because it's different from their first two, though, right? Or is that more of a production thing?
I think it's more of a production thing.
Okay, because I'm about to say I always go off like the first song on this album, kind of that of that riff, and it's kind of like that sounds like what a lot of the music is trending to now. And I'm like, is that like a tuning thing or is that more of a production thing? But I wasn't for sure, so I thought I'd ask. Yeah, but anyway, this one has it as drop A. See one that says drop A. Let's see what this one says. Let's say the two that I see both say drop A.
Okay.
Something where's like bravery or the brave. Let's see. Chrono looks like B flat, drop B flat. That's off of the last album. Their first. Oh, where'd that go? Off their first album, The Brave looks like drop B. So I guess you're kind of close, but yeah, I guess you're right. Then it'd be more of a production thing. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. It's not enough that you're being featured on a song, really? No, I don't hate it. I'm not saying that I hate that or anything like that. But um, you just kind of mentioned it just a little bit ago. Um, can we talk about the voicemail at the end of Face Value?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, okay,
prophetic?
before we get into that and get into the rest of this album, I wanted to say when you're reading that review, it made me think. It's like, yeah, okay. The reason though that because you were talking about, a lot of it didn't work for anybody until it worked for the Ghost Inside. And I know it's not a very literal it didn't work for anyone, but
Oh no, I took it that way. It hasn't worked for anyone, Josh.
the reason that Stick to Your Guns and The Ghost Inside both are able to, I mean, the music's great, but the reason it doesn't come off as tacky or just doesn't work is because it's about some real shit. And that's what a lot of this boils down to. Is it a song with stupid lyrics that's just, sad boy stuff, or is it, every one of your songs is about a girl, I mean, I pulled up the line from Engine 45 here
Hmm.
that a phoenix rise or your demise. Do I have to put your name on this grave or give you one more shot? This addiction came like a freight train. So
Woo!
every song is dealing with some real shit, the same way that Stick to Your Guns does it. And that's
Right.
why this is like not just comes off, but is genuine. Like it's very genuine. And that's what makes it work. Like the genuine article will rise to the top, you know? In a sea of bullshit, Curtis, the genuine article is going to rise to the top.
Let me ask you something real quick. I meant to ask you this on the last album because, especially on the conflict, it brought some questions to my mind about him and his beliefs. I mean, is he, or maybe at one point, was he like a Christian or something?
I don't know.
There's several times, especially like down that song, The Conflict from their last album. And then there's several other times in like lyrics, I'm kind of like, what's going on here? You know, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, mm,
I just didn't know if
yeah, I
you
don't
knew
even
off the top of
know
your head.
because then he starts with this is what I know about sacrifice, you know, that's
Right.
you'll be uh or no, it's not that. It's I think it's outlive. Or it's like we'll be buried with our memories and you'll just be dead. That doesn't seem very afterlife
Uh,
conscious, it
no,
seems.
here you go. Here you go. It goes, we'll be dead. We'll be buried with our memories. You'll just be dead. I'll live forever. You'll just die in vain. Like, dang.
Yeah, and I don't know if that
Some
seems
hard truth, man.
necessarily very like afterlife focus. It's more like earth focused, because it's like,
Right, yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so let me go back to the conflict then, because let's see. Okay, I mean, even just like the beginning, let's put an end to this once and for all. We found strength in numbers, and when your time runs out, what will you believe? I'm in no search for salvation or sanity. Your words are bringing me down. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to get back down to the. Where did that go? I mean, the line where, okay, I can stand with you, though we don't see the same. I want you to know the love that set me free. I don't worship a concept. I follow a king. It's like that line, that song was like, what?
Okay. Yeah, I mean
What?
that could
You're
that
like,
could be
okay.
something. I mean,
Yeah.
and if it is, then he's doing it exactly right, because that's what we've talked about, is like the subtlety, the light hand in this that gets you, if you're interested, asking the questions, you know?
Right. The fan
It doesn't
engagement.
have to, yeah, it doesn't have to be shoved down your throat, you know? You
No, you come
can
here.
you can put it in there without it being your entire main focus. You know, they're not a Christian hardcore band, but they could be a hardcore band that some of them have some religious beliefs, you know?
Yeah. Which I remember looking this up before, but it's this one says, for the record, no, we are absolutely not a Christian band. The Ghost Inside is made up of 5 guys with a variety of beliefs and values.
Yes.
Um, one of the questions below, people also ask, one of the questions is Azalea dying Christian? Well, I don't know, buddy. Oh my gosh. You tell me, is hiring a guy to murder your wife considered Christian? Oh man. Did he do it in love? Anyway.
So it was all love.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Everything you do, Stephen, anything in your life, with love.
was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we mentioned the voicemail and face value?
No, I mean,
Like
we're
prophetic or
both
what?
gonna sit here and just go, "Oh God, outlive
It's so
Engine
good, man.
45,
So good.
slipping away, great unknown." Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I couldn't. I've never been able to decide over the years if I thought it was like real, you know.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Is like, was that real or because I don't know.
It's like Lionheart has a voicemail in one of their songs that it's like a guy calling him over and over and over, you know, just like all these different voicemails. It's like getting more and more like mad at him and stuff.
agitated, yeah.
And I can't ever tell if that one's real either. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I just, I don't know, I kind of found it interesting. I was like, it's kind of like, it's an
Yeah.
omen.
Yeah, it's not
The
great. And
future.
like knowing what happens after, I've
Right.
always looked at this album like a little more darkly. Like the
Yeah.
album art, it's, you know, it's a summit, there's a storm behind the mountain. Like
Well, and
there's
it's
just,
even dark. I mean, it's dark colors. It's kind of
yeah.
grayscale, you know?
And so I've always like had this feeling kind of about this album post accident, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's a good observation.
It's interesting. Yeah. Favorite song, Josh? If you had to, gun to your head.
Probably Dark Horse.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one, man.
It's not even like the hardest hitting song on the album, but I think that's long been my favorite.
Yeah. I was gonna say either that one or Engine 45. That's a
I
good
was
one
gonna
too.
ask you, man, I'm not gonna be able to find it, I'm sure. It might have been Inherent Youth. There's two songs, one of them from the first album and the other from this one that borrow like a riff.
Hmm.
And I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it definitely felt like a callback. Dark Horse, I think it's Dark Horse on um Give What You Give, and I'm not 100% on what it is on the first album, but
But you're pretty sure it's Dark Horse,
yes,
at
I want to
least.
say it's either The Brave or Inherent Youth, but I want to say I saved it. I'll let you know if I find it.
Yay. Let's see. Hmm. Well, yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to skip through a little bit there so I could find it, but I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah. For another time, for another place. Now I've lost my place. Yeah, I think the reviewers said something about there's
Oh,
not like a slow part.
I got it.
I
I
think
got it.
okay, well, I think the slowest part or the calmest part is probably that transition from Dark Horse to White Light, where it's just kind of like the drum roll, kind of the down, 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 or whatever. Yeah. All right, what song was
Okay.
it, Josh? What was it? What's
Okay.
the
It's
callback?
it's off of Returners,
Okay.
and it is the opening guitar riff on Chrono.
All
The
right.
banana na 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 na. It's almost the exact same on Dark Horse. Da na 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 na. It's not
Oh,
exact, but it is.
okay.
It's like almost the same. We're like a couple notes off in that whole thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And I thought that was cool.
Nice.
So,
Nice
I
call,
love a
bro.
good
Nice
reprising
little catch
riff.
there. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and it's one of those where it's like it feels like you've built this world basically in your discography and now you're connecting it. Even if it's just one little riff, you know? It's
Right.
like, oh yes, yes. Connect the dots. Put the yarn up. Put the string. Yeah. Anything else, Josh, for 2012's Get What You Give? Favorite
I
album?
mean, yeah, I think so. It's
Okay.
just overall a really amazing album.
Yep.
A lot of their later stuff is really good too, but this is like pinnacle Ghost
Yeah.
Inside, you know?
Is it Peak of the Mountain?
Probably Dear Youth is also like up there on that same level, I feel
Okay.
like, but yeah, and I mean, it's just like I was saying earlier, it comes down to, yeah, they have amazing music and they do it right. He's got great vocals, but in hardcore, I'm going to borrow from Stick to Your Guns here. In hardcore, the lyrics have to be at the forefront.
Mm,
Like, and they do that. That's, like I said, this is some real stuff that they're talking about. So
right.
for me, it's
Exactly.
all about that genuine quality.
Yes, I agree. Organic. Let it
Yes.
be organic. Yes. The band would hit the road and travel worldwide in support of their brand new album to finish out 2012 and for most of 2013. And that, Josh, is where we're going to leave it for this episode. The current lineup is Jonathan Vigil on vocals, Aaron Brooks on guitar, Zach Johnson on guitar, Jim Riley on bass, and Andrew Takazik on drums. Have you listened to, Josh, their brand new album that was just released? Okay,
No,
so
I saw it got dropped, but I wanted to
yes.
wait
Okay,
and listen to it like in order at the end
right.
of this. So yeah, I'm trying to
Okay.
stay unsullied on that.
Here's Unsullied. Cool. Okay, so we're in the same boat then. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I was kind of happy when we decided in our meetings to pick the Ghost Inside and I saw where they were just about to release a new album. I thought, perfect. Excellent.
Yeah.
This is perfect. This will
So
this
that'll
will
make
do.
our next one four albums instead of the three.
No, just three.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it would have been two, but now that
Yeah.
they've released this one, it'll be three because it's
Okay,
Inherent
cool.
Youth, the self-titled,
Yep.
and yeah, the new one.
Okay.
What is the new one called? I just had it pulled up here. New one is entitled Searching for Solace. Yeah.
Solace.
Well, alrighty, Josh. Anything else for the first half of the Ghost Inside discography?
I don't think so. I think I've said what I needed to say.
Going strong since 2004. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's get on out of here, Josh. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurviveByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows As well, we have the History of the Cores After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener of this very podcast right here, Eric, and we go back through some of the bands me and Josh have already talked about in a chilled out style, getting to hear a listener's perspective. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders, soon to be a movie review sooner or later. It's coming. It's happening. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1, soon to be season 2, of HBO's House of the Dragon. But meanwhile, in the off season, we're covering chapter by chapter of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. Yes. Yeah, what's up with the? No, bring it back. What's no, I don't want to. I want to see the cover. What's up with the flag though? Because that's not the Targaryen.
3
That's not their logo.
Had the dragon, my man. 3 heads.
It's not the logo.
3.
It's the Hellhound of Dragons. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, we brush our teeth twice a day. Head on over to our YouTube page. Just search, oh my God. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. Alrighty, until the next episode, part 2 of The Ghost Inside. We'll see you.